Well, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and whoever you're lucky enough to be doing it to, I'm Bushka on Blitz, back with another dose of love, affection, and generic madness. This is the second dose of Supremacy. As always, if you haven't considered sponsoring the channel, this is a patron-sponsored post. We've been doing a lot of good things. We've actually started a Discord server there with a bunch of rooms, a lot of different platoon channels for different servers, and we've been running boot camps. So it's been a very active week for the patrons and myself. But back to Supremacy. I'm really enjoying this mode, as I mentioned in the last video, because of the amount of high-stakes brawling and close finishes that I've been involved in. And I like to play it in a certain way. Caps are the most important thing here. You only really want to be hunting damage when you are low on cap points and you look like losing because you don't simply have the resources. I very much like to pick a cap point, in this case the B cap point on Himmelsdorf, and defend it as long as possible and keep it ticking over as long as possible. And you'll find if you play it like that, if you actually pick an objective and try and both command that cap point and stop people from getting points in that objective, you can have some really amazing games. None more amazing really than the kind of games you have in mediums and lights, dueling it out over these things. And you've got to be really careful with your map. You've got to be watching where they are, because you can be very quickly overrun in this gameplay mode, and it's very easy to get caught out and face 3 or 4 tanks at one time when you get stuck in a brawl. And you're going to see that here. I get in a brawl with this E50M, and there's a whole heap of reds here on the corner. And we've stopped them from getting access to this cap a couple of times now. And we're now just using the walls here to try and stop people from getting shots on us very easily at the back. And then we're going to use the carcass of this E50M as we kill it to get away from those 2 reds there and duck around the back. And again, just not letting them have that B cap point. It's a tough game for heavies and TDs if you play it like this. I find when I'm driving a heavy or a TD in Supremacy, what I really want to be doing is getting up close and personal to a cap point, making sure that I defend it. You can't reach the cap points as quickly as lights and meds, but what you can do is get to within range of the cap point and smack them as they're trying to take it. You do damage that way, you cause all kinds of strife, you can back them off from a cap point if you do enough damage, and it certainly is something that lends itself to, say, an FV215B183 or a IS4, something along those lines. You can get really, really easy cap numbers doing it like that. I don't know what's going on with the video here, but I'm with Snake Eyes. We're out and about. We are capping the C cap on mines. Now, you might be thinking, why wouldn't you go B? One of the things I find really interesting about Supremacy is that if you don't have a cap at all, you lose very, very quickly. And quite often, if you're in a platoon of lights or mediums, you want to be going to cap points early that are really easy to get, because it builds pressure. So you can win a game quite comfortably with 1 cap point, as long as the enemy doesn't have any cap points for quite some time at the start of a match. Now, that's not what's happened here. We've obviously had a little bit of strife dealing with this this cap over here, and the rest of the team, while we've capped 1, not only have they not capped anything else, they haven't stopped the reds from capping stuff. So we have to do something here, namely we have to grab another cap, because you can see already at this point in time, with 2 caps, we've had to kill a tank just to stay ahead. And that's not really a sustainable tactic. Now, when you kill a tank on the red team, you get 50 points back for your team, and that is a good way when you're in real strife of bringing the game back into focus and making up lost ground. But if you give them 2 caps for too long, they'll simply overwhelm that and start streeting away. And you can see, even though we've killed the same amount of tanks, with 2 caps, they are now going further and further ahead. So Snake and myself have now moved over here, and despite the fact that there are a lot of guys guarding this cap, we're willing to give up hit points to actually get involved and make this a cap of ours. Now, Snake's pushed up very hard. We've seen an opportunity. We're down quite considerably now, and we've got to retake this cap. Now, it's no good just killing the guy defending it. You've got to get in the cap and grab it. Now, something too, that M6 didn't need to be in this cap point. You don't need to be in the cap point to defend it. And you'll see here, I'm actually trying to stay in front of Snake so that I can take the hits and not get the cap reset. He's on the left-hand side there. We get the cap, all well and good, and now we've really got to hold it. Now, what I said before, see where the M6's carcass is. You don't want to be in the cap to defend it. What you really want to be doing is either pushing in front of the cap and stopping them from getting there, or hanging back in a position where you can simply do the business from behind it. And we're in all kinds of strife here. I am taking damage, big style from all over. We're just trying to get this cap and hold it. Snake is pushing up there. You can see I'm at the back, but it can't be helped. And now it's 2-on-4 in a really tough situation. And Snake is doing all he can just to stay alive. Because as long as we're holding both these capture points, that's all that's important. And you can see here, he's not pushing up all the way at the top. Something people make a big error with in this gameplay mode particularly is they move towards the enemy when they're holding 2 points and an advantage. If we just stay here with 2 caps, we'll eventually catch up to their score and win the game, if they don't push up. But Snake's doing better than that. He is putting out damage and killing them while holding this cap point at the same time. And you can see the VK2801 is a fantastic tank for this, and he gets a wonderful bounce there on what would have been a kill shot from that T-3485. So now we're actually up. We've held 2 caps, we've got an advantage on the board, and they have to push. This is the tactical part about Supremacy that I really enjoy. They don't have any choice here. They have to come, clear this cap, kill, and retake it to win the game. Even though we've got 2 tanks on very low hit points, we are only 36 points away from a win. Now, this KV-1 obviously would have been well served there to kill him a little bit quicker, but you can't have all your wishes. And Snake actually comes good at the end, and we win it both in terms of kills and caps. Really good job from Snake there. And you saw how effective 2 lights can be at getting around the battlefield. Our heavies should have done a better job there, but they didn't. And there's nothing else you can say about that. It's just how the game runs. Snake with the mastery there. I've got one more game to show you, and this is a TD. I'm playing a TD in a Supremacy mode. 183. And you're going to see a couple of negatives with the 183. Firstly, it's got such a long reload time that it's very hard to defend a cap successfully. If someone's willing to take a hit, and there's 2 people in a cap, then you simply logistically can't clear the cap. I don't know what I'm doing there. What are you typing? Anyway. Okay. Aegon's in the T110E Thrall. We're talking about the game previously. That's what's going on. Anyway, on we go, onwards and upwards. We've moved down. We're looking for cap A. B is really a tough cap. The cap in the middle is often a tough cap to grab because it gets hit from both flanks. What you want to do is hold a cap on a flank, preferably that's elevated, and get a cap there and then work from there across to the cap in the middle. Unless there's 4, in which case you just go for the closest. But for instance, on Winner Malinovka or on Temple, if you can take one of the top ones, it's very easy to leverage that into the next cap with a team en masse. If you go for the lower cap or the cap that's furthest removed, you'll quite often get it, but at the same time, not only will you then have an open slather on the other 2 caps, you have to climb uphill to get it. So I'm a big fan of taking caps at the top of hills like they took C there, and then you can snipe down on B. It's a lot easier to hold it. But things have gone pretty smoothly here for both teams. Everyone's grabbed a cap. They've got theirs slightly quicker than ours. I ended up having to jump in the cap. Our mediums didn't get the business done there. They went up the sniper area, whatever. You can see that M46 Patton, he's done a heroic job trying to hold us off, but we get his kill points as well, so we're ahead very, very slightly. Now the 183 can be successful in this situation when it's moving around. And you can see there we've smacked that IS-7. but the reload is so long on this tank that if there was another tank in that cap, we'd really struggle to get a hold of them. The tendency with a lot of people is to play the TDs in Supremacy exactly the same as they would play a TD. I don't know where that went. Exactly as they play a TD in encounter mode, which is just not right. If you camp the back of a map, it is very unlikely that you're going to go any good at all versus an enemy that has even the slightest idea on how to play this game mode. And we take our time this time and finish that IS-7 off. And the reason is that if you're at the back and the enemy has an advantage in terms of cap points, they'll simply stay back. And you'll lose the game quite comfortably on cap points because they don't have to come and get you. Now, a lot of people don't realise this, or a lot of people really aren't tactically very savvy or very thoughtful in their gameplay, and they cop an absolute flogging because of it. And you can see here this Jagdpanzer's moving down, and we get a very easy side shot into him. I don't think that's a wise thing to do. If you're at a very even stage like this and you push, you'll tend to lose. I would more or less wait for someone on the other team to make a mistake when the teams are so evenly balanced. But as has happened here, the Reds have really pushed down and tried to be aggressive. And that's not a wise thing to do when everyone's in a strong position. The other thing is, remember how I was talking about TDs and how it's a terrible thing to sit at the back. You won't see their T110E4 anytime soon because he is literally sitting at the back of the map doing nothing. And while you're at the back of the map and you're sniping, all this stuff is going on all over the rest of the map, and it's a competition for cap points and map control. And yet, that E4 isn't really having any effect on it because he's sitting in the back corner. He is actually in the corner, the northeastern corner there. Now, that's a fair enough corner if your team is sitting there on C and you're on a lead. But when in fact your team's getting wiped out, it's not going to help you at all. And that's all right, because a lot of people don't really understand that about Supremacy, and that's why I'm making a video like this. It's all about holding onto your resources, i.e. the caps. And if you get that slim advantage, you sit, because they can't win without overtaking. And if you've both got one cap point each, and you're ahead by 20 or 30 points, your team needs to take a rest and just wait. Now you're going to see a lovely shot in the back of the T110E4 here. The rear raised exhaust section, always a lovely target. He's got the automatic fire extinguisher though, and there you go. Now he was guarding C, so full credit to him for that. But if you're on a TD, you've got to be more mobile in these maps, especially if you're in a big derp TD like that. Heavies particularly need to be mobile as well. It's not a game for campers. It's not a game like an encounter where you've got 7 minutes. It's very rarely going to go the full 7 minutes. So that's just my general thoughts on Supremacy. Second time around, I'm trying to get people to get an idea on actually playing it tactically and conserving their hit points and guarding caps. And remember, when you've got a cap and you've actually held it for a while, pull back from it. You don't want to be sitting in the circle. Make sure you've got a good spot that's a strong point or a choke point that can either be in front of the cap or behind the cap with a view of the clear cap circle. And you'll do a lot better for your team, and you'll do a lot better for yourself. Anyway, thanks very much, guys, for sticking around. I'm Bushka on Blitz. As usual, this is a Patreon-sponsored post I mentioned earlier. Without Patreon, I wouldn't be doing these videos, and I want to keep growing the channel. We're nearly at 16,000 subs. I want to do a big giveaway for 20,000 subs and some subscriber videos. I'm going to run a couple of competitions across a few different tiers for top damage and best replays. And if you guys are interested in that, I really can't wait to liaise with you. There's going to be more info on that later this week on bushkaonblitz.com. And I'll be hoping to hit Wargaming up for big prizes for that for you guys across all servers as well. So you never know your luck in the big city. I'm Bushka on Blitz. Look after your families and stay safe on the battlefield.